Hello, my name is Brennan. We're back again, and today we are in Factorio, which is a factory building resource management game. So what I mean by that is you start off with basic resources like copper and iron ore, which you then refine into copper and iron plates, which are then used to craft items, which are used to create greater items with the end game goal of launching a rocket and getting the hell off this planet. So this is going to be my most basic smelting setups, what I use from early game to end game and how I build them. So first of all, this is my starter setup. First thing you need to know is at the beginning you will be stuck with burner inserters, which are pretty poor, to be honest with you. The problem with these is they require one coal in order to run. So before this inserter will do anything, it will pick up one piece of coal from the belt and place it in itself before it places anything in the furnace, and this presents a problem on our output here because we need to get the copper plate out, but then that inserter needs to be fed. That is why we have this snaking method like so I can have an inserter here to feed my output inserter. We are also using the dual lane method, which is where you have two items on one belt. We have the ore on one side and the coal on the other. The only problem with this though is after about 5 furnaces there is not enough ore left in order to feed any more furnaces. So this is your basic bare bones starter package. You don't want to do this too far down and you want to keep it in grids of 4 to 5. The way I set this up is I would have a box here and I would be feeding the copper plates into said box, and then I would be taking them out into my inventory to craft science packs. Ideally in the beginning you want to be crafting science packs, the red ones, in your inventory and then placing them directly into labs by hand. Then after you've researched a bit of science you should unlock electricity. Then you want to get boilers and an engine down in order to create electricity. That will allow you to unlock electrical inserters and electrical poles. Then that opens up more possibilities. So my second setup, we are still using the dual lane method, but we now have access to our electrical inserters, which means we are no longer tapping this line for coal to feed our inserters, and we no longer need to divert coal down to feed our output inserter. Then not long after that, if you keep progressing with the science, you should unlock the underground belts. Now these are great really because they allow you to snake a transport belt around and up and down like so. This allows you to have a full belt of 2 lanes of ore and a full belt of 2 lanes of coal. That means you can take these furnaces even further, maybe to a row of 10 is a good number. Then after a while you will unlock the long armed inserter, which is great really because this will allow you to place an item over one belt onto another belt, which will allow you to have neat parallel lines of resources running down your factory. Then you will unlock the steel furnace, which is basically just an upgrade to the stone furnace. These smelt a lot quicker, but the only problem in the early game is going to be your small electrical pole, as they will not have enough radius to supply all of these inserters with power, so you will need to leave a gap in between every single furnace in order to power everything. And as you can see down here, we have the upgraded version, medium electrical pole, which has more radius, which allows you to place all these furnaces next to each other, and basically you can get 15 furnaces in the gap of what you once had 10. Then towards the mid game you should unlock electric furnace, which are great really because they no longer require coal, they just require electricity. So I have 20 of these in a row times 2, and I have 2 belts feeding this. The reason I have 2 belts is if you have one belt feeding both of these, they will be empty by about halfway, and that presents a problem. It like halves your copper plate production. That's why having 2 lanes running parallel down allows all 40 of these furnaces to work, and as you can see I have product overload. I use these to feed into copper cables or iron gears, as these are the most basic of resources and are highly needed further on in the game. Okay, so here we have a working example of that exact same setup. So the way I do this is I have lanes of mining machines onto one belt, double sized. Now the problem with your ore patches is they're not uniformed, and they're all different shapes, so don't stress how many mining machines you've got, just have as many as you can in a row like so. And then I have both of these feeding into dual lane furnaces, and as you can see, this one on the right is a full production one, so let's just follow that along and see what happens with it. So as you can see, the copper is going into a dual line being fed all the way up here into my logistic network, and I also have it splitting off into a copper cable network. Over here you can see an example of my copper network setup, 10 each side, so 40 assembly machines there to 40 furnaces. And then I'm just going to take you over to my steel production bit. Okay, so now we're over at my iron and steel setup, and it's pretty much the same as the copper you've seen before, just dual lanes of mining machines being led into 40 furnaces, which is feeding these belts with iron plates, which then go into gear machines, assembly machines crafting gears, which then gets fed down to my train, which then takes it round to my central hub, which feeds it all into the logistics network. So now over here we have a bit of steel production. The way I do steel production is I have 2 rows of 40 furnaces like so, which gets fed down into twin belts, which then feeds these furnaces, which then produces steel. And I do this twice all the way round, and then all this steel goes onto a belt to get fed into my train and then back round to my central hub of my logistics network. It's all very simple, but in the mid to end game you will require a lot more steel and it becomes hard to produce. All of these furnaces have been placed by blueprints. I haven't placed them all by hand. If you're not familiar with blueprints, see this button down here, you click this and then you just highlight and drag over the items you want to copy, and then it's simple as that. Name blueprint, create, jobs are good. And then when you've got construction robots, you can just run around slapping these blueprints down and the construction robots will create all this for you. So that's basically my basic smelting setup. Thank you for watching and bye.